My name is Mary. I work for a company. My performance there was recognized by my boss. I was told to be the most capable person among my peers. On the other hand, there was a colleague who couldn't do his job at all. That's John, who later became my husband. He had a lot of enthusiasm for his work, but he really wasn't capable. I often counseled him. In the progress, we grew closer. We started going out for dinner. One day, John asked me to go out to eat as usual, and he asked, "Mary, will you be my girlfriend?" I had come to have feelings for him, so I said I would be happy to. Since then, we have been going out, and sometimes I counseled him about my work. He became an irreplaceable part of my life. We decided to get married in no time. After greeting my parents, we headed to my in-laws' house to greet them. When I arrived at my parents-in-law's house, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, who lived in the same house, greeted me with smiles. "Mary, welcome. John told me all about you. It's nice to meet you at last. Mary, welcome to my home. You're going to be my sister from now on. Let's get along well with each other." My sister-in-law asked me to shake her hand. I was surprised, but I shook her hand back. They seemed cheerful and kind. I thought to myself, my husband lost his father when he was young, and they have been living together very close since then, so they are very close. I was a little worried that I wouldn't fit in, but my anxiety was eased a little when I met the two cheerful people. After living together for a while, my husband said, "Mary, why don't we all live together at my parents' house?" He suggested that we all live together. We had visited my parents-in-law's house several times after our marriage. We had talked about how it might be fun and lively if we all lived together, so I was thinking it might happen in the near future. "All right, your mother and sister are both nice people," and I gladly agreed. I later realized that this decision was wrong. The day of moving to the in-laws' house, I finished packing, and I headed for their house. My husband went inside first. Then my mother-in-law and sister-in-law came out. The atmosphere was somehow different from when I met them. "Oh my, you finally came. What are you doing here? Why don't you clean up your mess?" I was speechless at the transformation of my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. Yes, they showed their true selves. "Oh yes, I didn't tell you, but from now on, you're going to do all the housework." "What? What do you mean?" "What do you mean? Don't you understand?" I was sad. I had dreamed of living happily with my sweet mother-in-law and sister-in-law. It was shattered on the first day. I see. All that kindness was an act. The reason they asked me to move in with them was because they wanted me to do all the housework. I wish I'd had figured it out sooner. But it's only the first day, with a little hope that things might improve from now on. I decided to do what I was told. But day by day, their attitude only got worse. They complained about even a single hair on the floor. "Mary, are you cleaning properly? There's hair on the floor. What are you thinking? Always leaving the housework half done and going to work?" At these words, as you can imagine, I retorted, "Mother, I have a job to do. Can't you help me a little?" But my mother-in-law didn't give a damn. There's nothing that can be done. As for my sister-in-law, she seems to be working until noon. When she comes home, she doesn't do any housework. She just watches TV and laughs. I talked to my husband about it, but he said, "They both work so hard, so why don't you make it a little easier for both of them? You come home earlier than I do sometimes, so help me then." "No, I'm a man." "I am a man? So what?" I don't understand why my husband is saying so. I stopped poking back. And from then on, I would get up early and finish my chores so they wouldn't complain, and then I would go to work. I only sleep 3 hours a night, but I couldn't let that interfere with my work, so I tried hard. But then, as if to push me over the edge, my mother-in-law said something like this. "Hey, Mary, John told me about this. Is it true that you get paid more than John? You know that I lived on a pension, right? My body is getting weak and I have to go to the hospital. It's not enough. I'm hoping you can help me with about $2,000 a month." $2,000? Mother, that's impossible. I'm putting some money into this house for living expenses. That's not enough. That's why I'm here telling you. Please work more and bring me more money. When I was at a loss for an answer, my sister-in-law, who was listening to the conversation, intervened and said, "That's right. You should work more to help us. We are a family." She said something like that to me. I was so weak from lack of sleep that I didn't have the strength to talk back. I reluctantly agreed. I can't wait to get out of this life. My husband is not on my side at all. I think I'm going to go crazy if I don't do something. As my mother-in-law said earlier, I make more money than my husband does. Even if we got divorced, I can live on my own. But I don't want to just walk away. I want to do something to get back at them. That's what I was thinking. After a while, my sister-in-law was getting married. She met him at a party and they hit it off. 3 months later, they were going to have a wedding. I had zero interest in celebrating it, but I came up with a plan and eagerly awaited the wedding day. My plan was to give a speech at my sister-in-law's wedding. I revealed everything they did to me in my speech. I thought it would be a great chance for revenge, as the guests would include friends of my sister-in-law and relatives of the groom. And on the day of wedding, the ceremony went without a hitch, and then came the wedding party. My sister-in-law is smiling happily in her dress. I wonder how long that smile will last. The cutting ceremony. After the friends had finished their speeches, it was time for the bride and the groom to read out their letters to their parents. At this point, the MC made an announcement. "We had a surprise. It's a speech from the bride's relative, Mary." My sister-in-law is so excited that she says, "What is it?" With a grin on her face, I took a deep breath and it was time for a word. I took the microphone from MC, put on a big smile, and began to speak. "To the groom and to the bride, congratulations on your marriage. My name is Mary, sister-in-law of the bride, Sarah. Sarah has helped me a lot in the past, so I wanted to take this opportunity to thank her for all she has done for me. Please listen to my story." There was a round of applause from the guests. "I married Sarah's younger brother, John, and we all lived together in my in-laws' house with Sarah and John's mom. Before moving in together, Mom and Sarah were very kind and very nice people. I was looking forward to living with them. However, from the first day of living together, their attitude suddenly changed. They began to force me to do all the housework." The guests began to murmur, but I kept going. "And they also started to pick on me about the housework every day. I was working so hard that I had to cut down my sleeping hours. I did all the housework perfectly. They told me that since I get paid more than my husband, I would give them $2,000 a month. When I refused, they told me to work harder and earn more money. Then I took out my smartphone and put it close to the microphone. Here's the proof, and played the audio between my mother-in-law and sister-in-law that I had recorded. I could see my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's faces turn pale at once. And at the same time, I felt my heart lighten up. The triumph of technology. I hear the sound of civilization opening. Then, when I had finished playing the whole recording, I said, I did tell my husband about this, but he was indifferent and didn't take my side. These people are demons. I can't take it anymore. When I finished saying this, the audience went wild with condemnation of the in-laws. What's going on? Explain it to me. Some people were shouting. I'm amused. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law tried hard to make excuses, but they couldn't get anyone to believe them. My husband's eyes were black and white with impatience, and he didn't seem to be able to say anything. The groom and his parents were staring at Sarah. It was a hellish scene. Thank you very much for your kind attention. And as I was about to leave the venue, wait a minute! Sister-in-law and mother-in-law were chasing after me, but I ignored them and left. When I walked out of the venue, I felt very refreshed. I would be free for that life. I skipped back home. I hadn't skipped in years. I felt like I had wings on my back, and I took the bags I had originally packed and left the house, leaving the divorce papers and the ring in the house. Parents said I could come home, but I didn't want to bother them. I decided to stay in a hotel until I found a new place. When I got to the hotel, I checked my phone, found a huge number of incoming calls. Of course, they were from my in-laws. There were also a lot of messages. They were all about the speech. What have you done? You are unbelievable. You ruined my wedding. You betrayed us. You are a traitor. You are a pest. Such compliments came from my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. From my husband, there was a message. I'm really sorry for everything I've done. Please don't divorce me. I replied only to this and said, That's impossible. Please fill out the divorce papers and submit them. They are really unrepentant people. They take what they did too lightly. The sense of freedom of finally being unlatched, and with the lack of sleep, I slept like a dead person that day. I can't remember last time I slept as well as this time. The next day, I had a day off from work, so I went to the lawyer's office right away. As a matter of fact, I had been keeping a diary, so I was able to get a large amount of alimony. My husband refused to divorce until the very end, but finally he gave in. I heard later the family-in-law had a hard time after that. The wedding party was immediately cancelled. Of course, my sister-in-law's marriage was cancelled. When the groom asked for the wedding expenses, my sister-in-law cried to the groom, but he said, I didn't think you were such a person. I'm disgusted by you. She was isolated from her friends and became lonely. With a personality like that, she would have no friends. My mother-in-law had been saying bad things about me to all the relatives, but her true character was revealed in the speech, and she was scorned by all the relatives. She had been acting like a good person to the people around her, so I hear she's very torn now. She deserves it. She was using the money she got from me to get all kinds of beauty treatments, etc. but she can no longer do that, and now she has aged so much that you can't even tell who she is. My ex-husband invited some people from his company to the wedding. I guess that's how the story got out to the company. Maybe the whole company heard about it become difficult to stay, and before I knew it, he was gone. I guess the company didn't stop him because he wasn't good at his job at his first place. I received words of sympathy from my peers. My ex-family-in-law could no longer stay in the area. The three of them moved to some countryside, still the close family after all. For me, I got a promotion for the job, and I moved into a nice apartment. It's too comfortable. I've been able to get a lot of sleep, and my physical condition has improved. I've been able to perform better at work than ever before. I guess hard work doesn't betray you. Sometimes when I go back to my parents' house, they tell me that they hope I'll meet a decent person. I just say yes, and that is light. I'm happy now with my job, taking a break from love and working hard at my job. I would like to buy myself a treat once in a while or pay for my parents for travel. I've had a lot of bad experiences, but I think I've learned a lot from it. Next time I have a chance to meet someone, I don't want to go through the same thing again. I want to learn how to distinguish good people and bad people.